Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another show of Grassroot Chats. Play to the whistle. In the studio, we finally have Big Steve. Welcome back, sir. Hope it's been wonderful. And of course, we have Mr. Hinder and Big Dunk. The angry one is somewhere being angry, and we wish him all the best. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the Nations League, England's performance in the league, and a whole lot of other talking points. And then we are talking about the three potential players: Spurs, Man United, Wolves, Nottingham Forest should potentially add to their teams. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you like what you hear, what you see, please subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms, and all our content can be found on www.grassrootchats.com. So let us begin. It was a wonderful last episode. I didn't say it, but it was a wonderful performance from England against Hungary, and it was an okay performance. I would say against Germany it was a bit of here and there performance with certain selections against Italy. So the thing with Nations League is, as a fan, it's good because as the domestic leagues finish, we still have some football to watch. I don't know how wonderful it is for the players because of people are thinking of holidays, they want to go out there. But Dunk, I would ask, do you think the Nations League is worth it? Is it just something that UEFA decided to make some money from, or do you think it actually does these countries a lot of good?
Yeah, I think compared to like what you had before, which were the friendly matches, where nations just kind of picked and choose who they wanted to play. I guess in a World Cup year, they were trying to pick friendlies against similar opposition. So, a European team that plays a certain way or a South American team. So in that regard, I think that they're more useful than those for the fans anyway. You get to see they are technically competitive matches. So, the team should all be going for the win, and there is something at stake. So you've got the title of the Nations League winner. And then for the lower nations, it's a lot better for them because there's actual playoff places for major tournaments up for grabs. So there's a bit more to play for those. But if you're a top nation, you don't really want the ignominy of getting relegated down to the second or third division, playing the lesser known teams. Like who's down there now? Is it Scotland? Did Ireland? Ireland went down to the C League. So yeah, it's better than organised friendlies, I'd say. You probably got a good point about like it being right at the end of the season, how much the players are going to be into it after they had a long season with their clubs. I mean, based on the England performances, they're probably not too happy about having the matches at the end of the season. But it gets the thumbs up from me as like being useful.
Well, the positives we can get is a lot of players will get to represent their country, especially if you have a manager like Southgate that's willing to try new players. However, as you pointed out, Dunk, Big Steve, I'll ask you this. So England know that the possibility of qualifying for a tournament is probably higher when they actually play qualifiers. So will they actually take this tournament seriously, or is just a training showcase once again for Southgate to pick players that he might potentially use in the future?
I think it's the latter. He's using it as to pick the players for the World Cup in this instance, and get his formation right and stuff. So there's players that probably will get a better chance of showing their skills and breaking into squads than what they would have done before. As Duncan says, it's better than the international friendlies we used to have, but to me, still not the answer.
So when a lot of people say it's better than international friendlies, so they've brought in a competition that doesn't really add much or take away much from you, especially as a big nation, knowing that, we'll probably still qualify and beat everybody else in qualifiers. So exactly, it is competitive, but does it really add anything? Do you think there's a difference as an England fan, for example, Mr. Hinder? Do you think there's a difference with this and normal friendlies? Or does this give you an extra title to win?
I think the most important thing about everything today is I'm wearing this fantastic new jersey, which will be available on our website shortly, just in case anyone wondered about how amazing it is. Secondly, this is still
the
more
host is wearing
interesting.
the host is still wearing a good shirt as well. That'll be on our
Yeah,
website
yeah.
shortly. But yeah, crack on.
But secondly, these are still more interesting than watching any Nations League. Now,
Why?
I'm against it completely and utterly and totally against it in every way, shape, or form. The key thing with friendlies and not having competition football is that a manager of any nation gets to play with players that don't necessarily get games normally and experiment in a way that's going to be helpful for him and for the team. I get potentially that playing San Marino and beating them 7 or 8-0 isn't a competitive game, but actually it still gives the lower coefficients chance to earn some revenue and play against much better opposition. Now, I know that they do that in the competitive fixtures, but it means that they're only ever going to see each other in, when it comes to tournament football now, which I think is a little bit of a shame. England versus Italy in a friendly, like, I don't know about anyone else, but I had zero, as a massive England fan, I had zero interest in Italy and Germany and Hungary playing. Like, if you just told me it was a friendly, I'd have had it on willingly and gone, right, we're going to experiment, we're going to have here and here. But when you put this pseudo effect on,
why is
if
it
we get
different, though?
relegated in, because if, like Duncan said, the ignominy of getting relegated out of this and then playing against other people is just pointless. Let's just give the friendly nature of it the benefit. What they should have done is limited the amount of subs, because it got stupid when there was 11 subs being made and the game became farcical for the fans that were in attendance. If I'm at home, I don't care. But if I've paid 40 quid or 50 pound or whatever to go and watch a game, I'm a little bit annoyed from that point of view. But this isn't making me go, oh, England versus Italy. Oh, I can't wait to sit home tonight and watch it. I'm the opposite now. I'm like, if I knew that we were playing and bending the youngsters to get them better time and stuff, then yeah, 100% I'm more behind it. And that's what we should be doing for these. And like they said, like the guy said, getting the tactics sorted and figuring out all that. But that can be done in friendlies. This is just money grabbing ludicrousness from UEFA to try and make friendlies competitive when they shouldn't be competitive, and we should only have our competitive football when we have our competitive football for the big tournaments and the qualifications. And I'm going to go quiet because that was a long rant.
Okay, so now the thing with this is that, so this is not particularly replacing friendlies, because there's still some friendlies that will be played before major tournaments. This is supposed to give the competitive edge to countries. So obviously we all live in England, and well, apart from Big D, and the and the thing here
He's just looked around to figure out whether he was back at home where he was actually from, or where he moved to, or if his neighbours were listening.
and the thing here is, so when we're looking at England's performance in the tournament, and you have good Premier League players in there, good quality players, and Southgate has the ability to shuffle these guys. Why, if you have fans that are 50-50, and some fans are like, oh yes, this is, it's competitive, but it's not the same. It's not like a World Cup. Why is the level of expectation still very high, Big Steve, when England plays? Why are people just, and it's a very yo-yo situation from the fans. Oh, we're not good. We're good. We're going to win this. We're not going to win this. Everybody knows what Southgate is doing. He's experimenting. He's trying to get his team better. But why is the level of expectancy so high?
It's because England regard themselves as one of the so-called big nations. So there's always a demand for, they need to win games, they need to do it well.
Did I hear you say so-called?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they haven't got the trophy count to back it up, to be honest. So when you're looking at teams like Germany, Brazil, Italy, the amount of times they've won major competitions or gone deep in major competitions, that's what sets them apart from England. So, but that level of expectation is always around the England side. Going to a tournament, no matter if a player's injured, the whole side's off form, there's an expectation that they're going to win it or go far, even though logic suggests that it's not going to happen.
You do realize that just a very few amount of countries, for example, have won the World Cup, and England is one of those. I think there are probably not more than 10 countries that have won the World Cups, or maybe 12. So
yeah, but to regard yourself as one of the big nations, would you regard England's pedigree
Is this
in
just a
competition?
dig at Spurs for considering themselves as a big club and not winning anything? It's just like a sideways dig at that type
Neil,
of
you
thing.
got me.
You can't be big if you've won nothing, right? It's fact.
but it is there's always that level of expectancy in terms of, oh, it's England playing, we're going to win this, we need to win this, it needs to come home, and stories like that. The thing with this is do you think that, let's break this down. It's level of expectancy. You say you're not big enough. Dunk, do you think England has the right manager at the moment to lead England to a major tournament right now?
No.
Why?
Like he had the results in the last couple of tournaments, which is fair enough. But like England still have that same mentality problem, that winning mentality problem, or going after teams or getting a result. Like if we are one of the big so-called big nations and we're going to win something, you've got to have a bit of conviction about you. And the style of football that Southgate plays, I can't see us winning a major tournament with that. Like I said, we probably had pretty nice draws when we got to the Euro finals and when we got to the semi-final of the World Cup. But it's the same thing, and I've said this before. Like the Croatia match, the Italy match, it's the same as I've seen it in, like I said, 2004, the match we had against Portugal in the Euros, where was it Owen or someone scored in the first 5 minutes, and then it's like panic stations. Like so. There just seems to be this mentality thing about England. I haven't seen any manager manage to get rid of it, like restore some confidence or get the England team playing with like a bit of pizzazz. Like we've had the players for years to be able to do things. And even now you look at Southgate, he's playing a lot of defensive players. It's more like a play not to lose than a play to win.
Okay.
Like particularly, we just go to that Italy game in the Euros final. Like we had them. Like we had the goal. We were going at them, and then it gone. Like for the whole second half.
How much mentality do you need to infuse in players, though? You are at the final of a major tournament. How much, as a manager, what else do you need to tell people? I know people will talk about not being used to being there, and a lot of people talk about Southgate's approach in terms of being too safe. So personally, I think one of the big things that you can point out with Southgate is I think he picks his players based on what he wants. So that's why people always question why he's picking a player that might not be on form. Neil, do you think Southgate is too safe for England? And do you think that affects the mentality?
I don't think it's too safe. I think it's a hard thing to do, right? You go in guns blazing and you get knocked out. Why did we play like that? You go in too safe. Why do we play like that? You're never going to have the answer as being right unless you win the tournament, regardless of which way it is. I remember when I was a lot younger and Greece won the Euros. Greece, I mean, no one cared about it after that, but they won the Euros, right? The safest style of football in the whole world, counter-attacking. But they had men behind the ball, but won. No one said they were the best team in the world, and it was kind of forgotten about quite quickly afterwards. I think that as England fans, that we want to see our team dominate, destroy everybody in sight.
Are you saying the England fans will not take a win like the Greece win in 2004?
No, we will. But what I'm trying to say is what we want, we go in there, like when we play Football Manager and FIFA, what we're doing is we're going in and we have a level of expectations of what we would like in our football. We want quick football, good passing, expressive, with a ton of goals, right? That's what we want. And then we're realistic and go, tell you what, we'll settle for a 1-0 now. And that literally is the approach that we'll take. A late goal rather than an early goal.
Is that the Southgate approach right now?
No, I don't think so. Like Dunk said, we went 1-0 up and then you sit back on it because we didn't really know and we didn't really want that goal then. It was a bit of a mindset of the issue. But if we take away the style of football and everything else, that you've got a good group of players at the moment, whether they're not the best that we've ever had, but by a long shot, but they're a good group of players. Southgate seems to bring out maybe the best in them. I think even Harry Maguire's played well for England, even when he's been having a stinker of a season, right? So he does obviously bring out the best in them. They have a good togetherness about them. And if you look at the group, we should walk the group stage of the World Cup. Literally, it should almost be a bye unless we absolutely fundamentally muck up. You look at that on paper and go, there's no way we're not coming out. And if we win the group, which in theory we should, you look at who we'd play in second place of any of the groups, and you're like, right, we should be through to the quarters and the semis. So we've got a lot of football between now and then, and obviously we've still got people to stake a claim. But I think he's the right guy for the England job. I don't think there's a better placed England manager for it at the moment. And without sounding overly patriotic and English, I'm not sure that there's a foreign manager that could take England to the next level who isn't at a top quality club or going to be at top quality clubs, right? Pep, they're not going to leave and go, oh, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take England to it and I'll be there every other week, right?
Okay, so you're talking about a foreign manager that is actually willing to take the job, not one.
Yeah, I'm not saying, not like the one that's like, you never get someone in their prime taking that job because it's your country. You have that level of going, I want to do that. I want to lead my team because no one has done it since '66, right? No one's taken us over that line. So there's a lot in there. So a foreign manager to come in and go, I'll do that and leave behind all my great Premier League success and Champions League success and everything else. Like no one's doing that at the moment. It's going to be an older foreign guy when we do.
So Vic Steve, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you agree with the fact that I understand the patriotism that goes behind let the English team be ran by an English manager, the pride, the joy. But at the end of the day, yes, there might be some extra incentive. It's a job. But do you think there's any less victory and joy if a Spanish manager comes in and wins it for England? Will anybody actually remember? He wasn't English, or he wasn't this.
No, because they will be English. The day that they win that, they become English. Like regardless, we take them in. They're here. They've got passports. They're literally there's statues.
All right, Pretty Patel.
Right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like that person is honorary English by nature, but that isn't the stumbling block for me. I think we had Capello and Ericsson. Not that they were bad managers, but it kind of. The press weren't very nice at the same time, but it kind of soured a lot of the Englishness and a lot of the team, and it's taken a long time to maybe rebuild that level. I don't think the media are anywhere near as bad as they used to be, and then they're not looking out to catch somebody out as much as they used to, which I think is a godsend. And that could be because Southgate's there and he's English. And it could be if we didn't have him and we had someone else, suddenly we find out this bloke's got 15 affairs and 6 extramarital kids, right? And our whole World Cup goes.
I don't understand how that actually affects the football. That's one. Two.
No, I agree.
Steve, I'll let you talk.
No, I think any of the big nations, they want a homegrown person to be the manager. When they win a tournament, ideally, at the national level, they want one of their own to be the manager. Southgate is a good pick at the moment. He seems to be doing the business, but England's problem is that instead of making it about a team, they always make it about individuals within the team. And to me, it always sets them back. If you're going to win a tournament, you have to be a team. Doesn't matter how good your individuals are, it's always about the team. And England always seems to have the problem. At the moment, it's about Harry Kane. In the past, it's been about Lampard, Gerrard, Gaza. It's always Rooney, Beckham. It's always about...
every team always has that one player that stands out, though.
No, you can have a player that stands out, but the press here seem to always have to elevate someone above everybody else. And you can look at some great sides. Look at the France side that done the World Cup and the Euros. They had fantastic players, but it wasn't someone was above the team. They were a team. And that, to me, is always England's Achilles heel. They always have to make it about an individual.
Wasn't Zidane above the team?
He wasn't reported, so he was a fantastic player. Ability-wise, he was above the team, but his nature wasn't about him being in the press, him doing all the interviews. it's all about Zidane, they were the French team.
Well, I think Southgate has brought some positives to the team. I think the one thing that he has done, in my opinion, is that you can see that these players are happy to actually go and play for the team. Where I think in the old days, the whole club rivalry and all that was too strong, and all they saw it as was a job. But when you look at you have people like Mason Mount and Declan Rice that are best friends. They can't wait to see each other at the camp. Saka and all those guys. They're happy to actually play for the team. So I think that's one of in terms of morale, he has done well. But just one thing else. Ooh, I don't know what that is. But something else on Southgate. Dunk doesn't believe he's the man. Neil believes he has done well and he's happy that he's English. However, if we're keeping it to English managers and Big Dunk, you're saying you don't think he's the man, please give me a name to replace him.
For an English manager? Easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys don't want to go outside England.
Easy. Eddie Howe would play a far, far, far better brand of football than Southgate. That's an easy answer for me. And I'd agree with you. Southgate's brought some positives, like you mentioned, but I cannot see that brand of football winning a tournament. Like he's restored some faith. He's got them playing together as a team. They're enjoying it, but like I said, there's still that mentality problem. And if you look at the England team, and you ask what's the best area of the English team, it's the attack by far, by miles, by far and away. Like the attacking players we have, and I don't know, he doesn't really chop and change, but he's set in his ways about what he wants to do. Everything's got to be based about Harry Kane. He can't change it. Mason Mount seems to be a permanent fixture these days for some reason, and you've got these other players like Foden is not getting that many minutes. Like that's mad to me. Like he would be one of the first names on my sheet if I was managing England.
No, I agree. I think I'd have Foden in there, but do you think Foden was been left out because of the amount of games that he had played?
No, he's got COVID.
And he's got COVID. But still, I didn't think that was a thing. I thought we were all just enjoying our lives on that one. All right.
I'm not thinking on that, though. Sorry,
hold on.
Sorry, Neil.
I have one more question. So Duncan's got two points. One, he says the brand of football and isn't great, but we've got the best attacking players, which he still manages to fit in, right? So if you put Harry Kane up top and then you have, we'll say Sterling and Saka, that could be Grealish and Saka. I don't know why Saka stayed in, but Grealish and whoever. But would you have Foden playing as a 10, or would you try and accommodate Foden on the width? Because you've got Foden and Mount, and they're both pretty much 10s, which then makes it really hard to play with a 4-3-3. So Dunk, over to you.
If he's playing his system, you play Foden over Mount every day of the week.
What about Saturdays when we play games?
No, Neil. Every day of the week.
The thing is, though, do you think the concentration is, as Steve said, okay, do you think the concentration is too much on the talent than actually the strategy and tactics? Because everybody talks about how Foden is this, Foden is that. He struggled in the Euros, and a lot of talk was mentioned about him not understanding any other style of football apart from what Pep has grilled into him for years. So now, as a manager, that's not going to be of any use to you if he cannot do what he's supposed to do. And you have the likes of Mason Mount, Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips. When you see them play, you can actually see that they're doing exactly what the manager has asked them to do. So do you think especially with the Foden situation, Foden, Grealish, those are two players that talents, nobody can question. However, is Southgate doing it in such a way that, look, I need players that can play my strategy and implement my tactics? Big Steve?
Players like Foden and Grealish are gonna struggle because they're gonna come from what they're surrounded by and the talent at Man City, and then come to England, which is going to be a completely different approach. What he should be doing is picking players in the positions that they play well for their clubs. Like Foden plays, if he's playing left forward, play him left forward. Don't bring him in as a number 10. Because that's not what he's doing day in, day out. You're asking him to completely change his game with a completely different set of players, which he's not used to. So it's unfair on him. If he plays left forward, let him play left forward. Don't try and put square pegs in round holes.
Yeah, but that doesn't work on the big stage because they're playing with players that aren't used to that high intensity, that quality of football that Pep plays. There's no way that you're going to see Kane pressing to the same existence as Silva's press, for instance, or Sterling
agreed.
would press, or Saka. So Foden's going to have to play different football anyway, and Foden's got a brain. So Foden's going to have to go right. I'm going to have to play central of the park in a completely different way to I would play for City, because there's only about 3 players in the England team that could play for City.
He doesn't
in
play
the way
that.
they play.
He doesn't play as a number 10 really for City. He plays either the left forward, or when they're not playing a striker, he'll play as the false 9. But he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that with England, where Harry Kane's in the side. So,
but why does that matter? That's what I'm saying, because he's going to be playing a different style of football anyway. He's not playing that. They won't be pressing like they do at City.
Yeah,
I feel like it's irrelevant playing what position he plays in, unless it's
but pressing, in terms of pressing and approach, that's different though. If you can play that standard and high intensity with Pep, surely you can reduce it in other teams. I mean, if you ask somebody to play higher level, which I don't know what will be higher than what they play at Man City, but if you tell somebody to, I mean, if you have that stamina and that ability, high press, to take your time, don't attack. I mean, we've seen great players struggle in terms of implementing a different strategy. Yes, he played well for France, but he still struggled. Henry for Arsenal, Henry for France, 2 different players. We see these players have these issues because the managers want them to play in a particular way, and then you could question, I don't know, ability in terms of IQ. Are you just used to one style? And I think Southgate has tried in terms of, okay, let me try and rotate these players and see who's best suited. But moving forward, Dunk thinks Eddie Howe can do a better job. Before we move on, Big Steve, you agree, or do you have another name?
I don't have another name actually. I'll probably say Eddie Howe, but then it's the whole struggle of being with the players week in, week out. It's a bit different when you come to international management. So because you're seeing the players every few months, and then having to do such a lot with them in such a short period of time. So given the Eddie Howe's pedigree is better than Southgate's at a league level, I would say Eddie Howe probably do a better job.
Mr. Hinder?
No, keep Southgate. Eddie Howe's not an England manager at the moment. I don't think he'd be coping with it.
Say with your chest. Say with your chest. But stop whispering.
Give him some time at Newcastle, for God's sake, man. He's not leaving there. Give him some money. Give him time to enjoy it. Southgate has done a fantastic job for England and got us out of a really bad situation and put us into a place where we can be proud of the team with, I would say, one of the worst teams that we've had. And I'm not in no way bad of how we've got, but we have had some brilliant English teams since I was a kid, and we don't have that level now of excitingness. Other than Foden is probably the most exciting. The one thing I would say about Harry Kane, and it'd be interesting to see Stephen Dunk's point of view, he's dropping deeper at the moment a lot for Spurs. Now, would you want to see that for England, him to drop deeper? Or do you want him to see that? Obviously, I don't know. They're shaking their heads if you're listening on audio only. Talk podcast is just not in.
No. To me, he's a striker. He can do this dropping deep for Tottenham and all that business there. But Harry Kane, you're there to score goals. You're not there to build up play. Leave that. He's done that at Tottenham for a reason, because they lack creativity in the middle. England don't lack creativity in the middle. So get in the box, score goals, you'll get your record quicker, blah, 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 but you're a striker.
The first time we saw Harry Kane actually drop back into the middle was under Mourinho with Spurs. And he did it, and he still scored over 20 goals in the league. This season that just finished, he did the same thing and scored 17 goals. In the Euros, he was dropping deep as well. The game against Italy, I mean, probably the first half, he was dropping so deep that people didn't understand what Mason Mount was doing on the pitch because Harry Kane was there. So in terms of diversifying your game and the older he has gotten, I think he's showing that he can do more than just stay in the box. However, you talk about Tottenham not having a midfield, which is a bit harsh, but we know why you said that, Big Steve, considering the shirt that you're wearing. And in England, yes, you can agree that they have a lot of midfielders. However, we have seen games where England are struggling. They're playing other games that other countries win the midfield easily, and the reliance is on the wing backs. Harry Kane would need to drop deep to help, don't you think? Dunk, Big Steve? Since both of you don't agree?
Yeah, but there's dropping deep and there's dropping deep. Like for England, he should not be getting that far back on the pitch. So again, like Southgate's got Mason Mount there. Like Harry Kane might as well come back and hold his hand. Like the amount that he's dropping deep for England, like that's not like contributing to the style of play and the attacking threat that England should have. But and just two things before we move on, like something Neil said there about with Southgate. Like my only worry is like I don't see him winning the tournament, so we're just going to see this another generation of players like pass it by, having not fulfilled their potential or gone on to win a tournament. There's that, and then the other thing that I was talking about with the England style of play earlier is that this again another thing that's like scourged us more than other nations is this like tappy, sideways, back. Oh, we're at the edge of the opponent's area. Oh, now we've passed it back to the keeper. That's one element that I see in countless England games that we need to get rid of. And the other one is I could literally watch like Luxembourg versus San Marino, and even those teams can like build a fluent, quick attack, and yet England is so slow and laboured nearly all the time. It was a bit better in the last couple of tournaments, but like there's still those elements that are like heavily associated with the way England play, and they're still there and they need to be got rid of.
Well, we can clearly say, as Neil has said, Dunk is definitely one of them fans that Football Manager and FIFA, he wants it applied to the England game.
Before you move on, but the Harry Kane point, where he said he dropped deep and scored 20 goals and then scored 17 goals.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most defenses, goalkeepers and other teams playing against him prefer to see him drop deep than when he's playing up top. Because he's going to hurt teams much more if he's up top as a striker.
Maybe true. But, I mean, the first season we saw him do, he did score over 20 goals. The second season, which is last season, that was past 17 goals. But then another Tottenham player emerged as the key man in Son. So it's the one thing you can say about
Son scored more goals because he dropped deep, because Son could then cut in.
Yeah, but that's exactly my point. So you can call Kane a team player than a striker just thinking I don't care about what happens. Just give me the ball, let me score.
But the point still stands, right? If he's dropping deep, you don't need either Foden or Mount to sit in that position. You need someone to then come in. If Kane gets injured, right? If Kane gets injured, who do we have as our other striker? For me, it's got to be Tammy Abraham, who had a great season in Italy against the pedestrian Serie A, but still banging goals left, right, and centre, but knows where the net is, and he scored goals in the Prem before. I don't know what you guys think of who we should be taking as our maybe our main striker if Kane's going to be so laboured.
I can't believe you didn't mention Eddie Nketiah.
Eddie Murphy.
No, I agree with you. It probably would be Tammy Abraham, because I don't think there's many other contenders. I know they tried Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but he had a dreadful season of injury and didn't have any form. And I can't really think of anyone else that done well at a top level to say, they could actually walk in and replace.
Staying with Kane, though. As a player, he's scored his 50th goal for England. It's clearly looking like he's going to beat the Wayne Rooney record. I think it's 53. So once he goes to 54, hands down, is he going to be the best ever English striker? And I know you might possibly talk about, there are players that he didn't win anything, but how many players have won anything for England? But is it all he needs to do is beat Wayne Rooney's record? And without a doubt, I'll start with you again, Dunk. Would you say he's the best English striker once he beats that record?
Like the way you phrase that question, is he the best English striker ever? No, I don't.
Why
think
he's
going to go to that title. Like we've had some pretty good strikers in the past,
but they didn't score over 53 goals.
Yeah, lots of them didn't play that many games as they're playing currently at the minute with all the qualifiers for all the different tournaments. Like he's obviously done a very good job for England. And what's impressive about him is like the consistency. So he has pulled off goals at tournaments as well as qualifiers. Something like you could level criticism about Rooney, like he went missing in a couple of the big tournaments that he was at. So you can hand it to him, like he's done a very good job and he's been very consistent. Like, and we definitely have him in the team, but I don't think I'm going to put him down as like the best English striker ever, just because he's got the greatest number of goals for the squad. Like I said, he's getting
top
a good.
five?
Say again?
Is he in your top 5?
Oh yeah, he'd be in the top 5. Yeah, I don't think I'd have him as the best English striker ever.
Okay. Before I come back to you and ask you who your best is, Big Steve, what do you think? Duncan's mentioned consistency for Kane. He's probably played more games than a lot of the other strikers for back in the days. But if the thing is statistics, everybody always throws in statistics and every other measure. If he beats the record, and probably, I mean, the way he plays, he could possibly get to like 60, 70, depending on the games that England play. Shouldn't he be seen as the best?
No. To me, he's not the best. There's a couple of strikers that definitely stick out better than him in names of Wayne Rooney, Alan Shearer, much better strikers than him for me. Yes, he may have the record number of goals by the end of his career, but at the end of the day, I would like to know the stats between how many goals the games. But for me, Rooney and Shearer are two that come to mind straight away that I feel are better England strikers than him.
So
I got some stats.
Dunk talks about.
Let me get the stats out first. He wants the stats. Come
but
on.
Before you get the stats out, answer this. So Dunk talks about consistency, which is one of the reasons why Mo Salah all of a sudden dropped in the eyes of everybody, because he wasn't consistent. But his statistics is still higher than anybody else. So if Kane is consistent and his stats is higher, why should anybody be better? Okay, go to the stats, and you can probably answer my question.
He has got 50 goals and 71 appearances for England. That is insane. Rooney, 53 and 120. So just to give that level of how many goals. He is prolific. He has scored almost as many goals as Henry has scored for France, who you said wasn't very good for France.
He wasn't.
50 odd goals isn't bad for any international player, regardless of how many games that they've ever played for their nation. I agree with both the points that Steve and Dunk have made. He is not our greatest striker ever. He is our best goal scorer ever, without a doubt, because the stats don't lie. But if I was picking my all-star team, I'm either picking Shearer, Lineker in my day, or Rooney above him, because they were phenomenal on their day. I believe that they've probably played a lot of lower quality teams than they used to play in the past, of like the days of Hurst, etc., and Charlton. So like Charlton's like third on the list of all-time goal scorers. So there's definitely a trajectory of us playing lesser quality teams at certain points. And then if you look against the higher quality teams that he's just played, Hungary, Italy, and Germany, right? I suppose the goals speak for themselves in that. So when we play the easier teams, which we will no doubt in the group stage of the World Cup, he'll probably bang in 10 and then none towards the rest of the tournament. Unfortunately,
I like when people bring out the card of, oh, you played lesser position, or the player can only play who's in front of them. So if England plays England versus, I don't know, Swindon 11, and Kane scores 15 goals, and somebody goes, oh yeah, but he plays in 11, that's not the striker's problem. I did my job. I was supposed to score. So when people bring out, oh, this person played against this, or that person played against this, to me, I don't even understand why it's in the argument. However, good point though. He is England's best goal scorer. And
because we were defending why he wasn't our best ever striker. And I said that he was our best ever goal scorer.
What do you base strikers on?
And I was 100%
what do you base strikers on?
Let's think. If you were picking a player, you're going to be picking Rooney over Kane, surely.
It depends what formation I'm playing.
I mean, Rooney was dead by 25 by the amount of games he'd already played for his club at that particular point. He was tired and on the heap, where Kane is not on the heap because he never had the pace, explosiveness to do. And I think maybe that's a credit to Kane. But I think people me personally, I don't pick Kane above them because he's not explosive, he's not exciting. I do think he's going to score me a goal if he's in the right place at the right time, where the rest of them would make that extra effort to be at the right place at the right time. Where like Shearer was always in the right place at the right time. And came on the international scene very late, a little bit like Vardy did. I think David Platt's up there as one of the top all-time England goal scorers at 26. So just to give you like a disparity of how big that gap actually is up there. Definitely for me, the best goal scorer for England, but he is not going to go down above Owen, even Owen for me, for how good he was when he started for England. Owen was fantastic, right? When he played for England in his younger days. But we haven't even got to Harry Kane in 30 yet, and we're already saying he's slowing down and dropping 60 yards down the pitch. So where are we going to be at then?
When Rooney has this thing of, love Wayne Rooney, wonderful footballer, even says it himself, I'm not a striker, even if he played up front very well. He's explosive, he's skillful. You're thinking in a game where everything is so tight, he can actually drop deep, pick the ball up, and go and score. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about strikers, it is based on goals. So when Rooney had a wonderful tournament 2004, he got taken to 2006 injured. I remember it was literally last minute trying to get on the plane. There was a fit Jermaine Defoe, but no, let's take an injured Wayne Rooney. Just tell
There's
you
a
how
sun
much
campaign in it to make his foot touch the paper and his bobble heel.
So you had all that, and with tournaments, and I remember which other tournament that Rooney went again injured because he got injured against Chelsea. So it was one of those mentality. Is he a better player than Kane? 100%. But if I'm picking the team, and back in the day when England used to play 4-4-2. It's just, big man, small man. Somebody scores. Yes, Shearer, maybe, because he was a good goal scorer. But Kane, statistically, you've just said it. Another thing that you guys always mention on this show is consistency. He has it more than anybody else.
Shearer is the highest goal scorer in Premiership history. Beat that for consistency.
England.
Doesn't matter. Neil just said he started his England career.
We are
late.
talking about England.
Like that's one of the factors we said about the number of games they play.
If you want to start bringing statistics,
consistency.
if you're talking about statistics, the best 100% striker England has is Francis Jeffers. 1 half, 1 goal. If you start talking about statistics and talking about graphs and how all these things apply, that's what it means. Statistically, Francis Jeffers is the best. 100%. 1 game, 1 goal. So stop throwing in statistics just to help your point. Sorry?
Have you started dating Harry Kane? Because you're really defending him to the point of view of like
he's,
a little bit.
He's
coming on the show. He's coming on the show. Isn't
he? You're kind of twisting. You're the one that brought up number of goals scored.
No, I'm not. I asked a simple question, and every time, for some reason, when you want to back your point, you guys go straight to statistics. When you don't want to back a point, you talk about consistency.
No one's even spoke about consistency.
Dunk did.
All of our problems.
Dunk, what did you say? Dunk,
but I didn't use consistency. I didn't use consistency to justify Harry Kane being the best striker. I said Harry Kane was consistent, but he's not the best striker. So that goes against your argument.
I asked a simple question. I'm not arguing. It's a simple question. If strikers are supposed to score goals,
because we all agreed that he wasn't the best.
Because all of you agree, it doesn't make.
So you're arguing against us. So you're technically not agreeing.
I'm asking questions based on the points that you're giving, because some of your points are contradicting each other. It's that simple.
For me, it'll be Alan Shearer.
Sorry?
For me, it'll be Alan Shearer before Kane.
Dunk, would you pick Shearer?
I would probably go with Shearer as well, yeah.
And Neil, Shearer?
No, I'm still going with Rooney.
Okay. Well, we shall see. Best goal scorer, but not the best striker for the guys in the studio. One more player I want to discuss with England before we move to the Premier League is Jack Grealish. There's a lot of talk about talent. Obviously, we can't question talent. And a lot of people talk about looks. What you like? Oh, okay, anyway.
He's handsome, man. Let's just not get rid of the poster boy of the England team. I'm sorry, you can't wash over that fact.
Okay, and so in terms of position, though, what is this situation that when he played for Villa, he was kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, he was kind of given like a free role, right? So, but when he plays for City, he kind of plays on the left. And every time Southgate brings him on, I think apart from the game against Belgium, which he played through the middle. He was, did his thing, not scared to take the ball and take on players. But what is this situation that they're always trying to play him on the left? Do you think, Neil, do you think that's his best position? Do you think Southgate and Pep have managed to use him to his best abilities?
At top level of football, you can't carry a player. We had this conversation about Pogba. And I'm not going to say that they're the same, but you can't carry anyone in the Premier League. If you're in a lower mid section of the Prem, you can have a player walking all over the park, sauntering, taking everybody on and doing all sorts. But when you've got proper systems working for the whole team and everyone knows what they're doing, with Pep, like, you can't not do what he says, because he'll take you off, even if you're having a fantastic game, because you're not doing what he wants you to do, which is for the team. It's not for him. I mean, it is for him, but it's like that's the way the team plays. And if you're not playing for the team, then you're not on the pitch. And when he took Henry off for Barcelona after he scored, because Henry didn't do what he was told to do. So Grealish is a football player. He will do as he's told in the nicest possible way. And that is on the left for Man City, and he's getting better and better at playing in that position and having a structure which is going to be completely alien to him from, like you said, at Villa, him almost having, could play where he wants and do what he wants. So that will only do England dividends when it comes to it, of putting them out wide. It draws the fullbacks out where it can draw the midfielder out there and free up a lot of space for somebody else. If Grealish doesn't do anything in a game, but has two men on him, or at least one man on him for most of the game, because they're going to want to keep him on him, that's just doing dividends to everyone else on the pitch. And that's job done for him, as much as it looks boring, but that's still a very effective thing for Grealish to be able to do.
So Neil has just mentioned that you can't carry anybody. So in terms of one of the things that you have to do as a manager, obviously, is play or bring out the best abilities in the player and play them in their best position. Big Steve, do you think playing on the left, do you think that's his best position? Do you think he can contribute more to a team if they play him maybe through the middle? You talk about structure and systems, but I'm sure he can hold the structure and system in the middle.
I think for England, not for Man City, for England, yeah, he could play in the middle, but you'd have to make sure you got two defensive players behind him, and give him that freedom so he can go either way or feed in people that's coming in from wide. That's the only, he couldn't do it for Man City because they've got too much talent, and Pep's very rigid in his structure and in what you're going to do. So he's not going to chop and change you. But for England could build it around him like that. But then it goes back to the point we were saying earlier. Harry Kane has to stay up top. He can't be dropping deep. You're closing the space on the midfield. So Harry Kane would have to stay on top and stay above him, be that focal point, and allow Grealish to operate in between the central midfield and the striker.
But if you've got Grealish there, then I know Duncan's going to be happy about this, but you wouldn't be able to have Mason Mount in the team in that position.
Exactly.
Or Foden, right? Which arguably are better at that position.
Exactly. And they play, and Mount's doing it for his club week in, week out. So it's a balancing act.
Dunk, you mentioned how Foden is not particularly being used well with Southgate. Do you think that's the same for Grealish? Or are you happy with his performances or what Southgate is doing with him?
Well, I was just checking his stats. So he's got 23 caps and 11 sub appearances. So I don't think he's been given that many opportunities in the starting 11. Like, he's been around in the England squad since 2020, so 2 years of being around the England squad. So he's kind of in that. Yeah, he's in that like area with Southgate at the minute where he's using him as an impact sub, like, more often than not. So yeah, I'd certainly like to see him being given more of a chance in a few more games. Again, there's competition. You got Sterling there, you got Foden there. So, but he could definitely be given a few more games, like as a starter, to see if he can have some more impact from the start of the match.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Nations League, Harry Kane, Grealish. Even Mason Mount got a mention when we asked no question because they don't think he's playing the position well. So, well, if you're listening, Mason Mount, I think you're good. These boys think you can do better. All right.
Easy, that's just Duncan. You're just tarnishing everybody with everyone's brush today.
I just said these boys think you can do better. Don't you think you can do better?
No. Hang on, you're putting words in people's mouths. I said I play
you think-
Foden
don't- do
over
you or
Mount,
do you not think
and I said
he
if
can
Harry
do
Kane's
better?
dropping deep, he might as well be holding Mount's hand. I wasn't tarnishing the guy.
He needs to be
I
better. He
just
needs to do
said-
better before he's replaced by ESR next season.
All I
Are
just
you
said
on
is,
about JJ?
all I just said is you guys think he can do better. That's simple. I don't know what the issue is. I mean, don't want a player to hold his hand. Well, we shall see. Now we're going to the Premier League, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to talk about the 3 potential players that the guys here think should join Spurs, Manchester United, Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Nottingham Forest. Well, Spurs have been good in the market. They've already secured Fraser Foster and Ivan Perisic. I think it is a lot of compliment seeing that a lot of teams are actually doing their business early. Do you think it's going to be another stop-start buy for Tottenham with the Levy situation, or do you think Conte is going to improve things? Mr. Hinder.
I mean, they've already acted early, but free transfers I've got to be getting Levy a little bit of the what's the emoji? The aubergine emoji. I know he's a little bit tight. Likes to spend his money a little bit later on. Eggplant, if you're listening in America. Yeah, I think they're great signings for them. Perisic, a little bit older, maybe a little bit more peculiar than most people would have been thinking. But that signing, I think, was a good bit of business because they've really been struggling with when Son's not in the team. They don't, Mora and Bergwijn have never really been up to it. And Kulusevski. He's. I don't know if they've signed him or not. I think he was.
I think he has been signed, I think.
On there, but he, again, good start, but they've got to build a whole squad around it. So I've got my 3 players that they're going to sign.
Okay.
They're going to sign because I've been on the phone to Daniel before the show. I still think they need a centre-back, a really good one. Napoli's Koulibaly. I probably pronounced that wrong, butchered his name. Yeah. He's going to give me a call later and tell me I've actually butchered his name. 34 mil they reckon they can get him for. He's only got 12 months left of his contract. He would be a good signing for them. Dunk's not in agreement that he's going to go there, but I'm saying that Spurs
I'm not in agreement. I
should
don't think
sign.
anyone will get him for 34. Like he was up at 80 as before.
Last year of his contract.
And he's
So
29, isn't he?
He's 30 now, I think.
Oh, okay.
He's pretty much past it from anyone's point of view. Buscema? I don't know. The Brighton midfielder we go on
Steve
about like
Buscema.
Steve Buscemi. Yeah, Basuma, right? I wrote things down in pen and paper because my phone was playing up earlier. I've gone old school today. From Brighton, he would be a majestic signing for Spurs, and be. He's got a good work rate, good work ethic, and he would fit right in with Conte. And I think they would get on like a house on fire. They also need a striker. I know we've won about Kane. Kane's going to play up front, play in midfield, start walking at the back of the pitch, but they've got no one else when Kane's never fit. And they have struggled for 30 seasons now, it seems like, to buy a striker. They struggle harder than Leicester do. But Andre Silva from Red Bull Leipzig, he's only 26. He's rated as one of the best strikers in the world currently. He isn't scoring many goals, but I think that's kind of the signing that Spurs need to be looking at. Someone that they can bring in and through that's already established striker, not some 20-year-old and hoping for the best. Someone that's decent enough. So yeah, that's my 3 picks for Spurs.
All right, let us go to Big Steve. Big Steve, your favorite other team from North London. What are the 3 players you think they should sign?
Spencer, right back. I know a lot of teams are after him, but I think they need a right back that's going to push on. What's his name? Emerson Royal doesn't seem to be cutting it and bombing on to me. The other one, centre back, they need strengthening. I'd go for Nathan Ake because apparently Man City are looking to ship him out. He's already proven in the Premiership. He's a very good centre back. Can play on the left side as well. So, and the third one will be Eriksen. Christian Eriksen, if they can get him back, because they need some creativity in that midfield. It will stop Harry Kane dropping deep. So it will be interesting to see if Christian Eriksen was to go back, if Harry Kane does revert to how he was before when Eriksen was there and stayed up top and didn't feel the need to drop back.
And Eriksen's free, right?
Yeah.
That's 4 or 5 aubergines right there for Louis.
I do agree with the fact what Neil said, though. They do need a striker, but I was thinking about people like Richarlison and stuff, but I don't think he'll be happy to go and bench one at Tottenham. It's a fine balance for Tottenham in terms of you got to get someone good enough that when Harry Kane does his annual period of injury and he's out the squad, you can put someone in and take the burden off Son. But I don't know who they can get to hit the ground running. Maybe a Danny Ings or something like that.
Dunk.
Yeah, so the first one I had down, exactly the same. Eriksen, the creativity in midfield, the free transfer. We'll have Levy rubbing his hands. I think that's quite a realistic one for them. Like, I could see that one happening. Brentford are still talking about like they've got a good chance of keeping Eriksen, but I really don't see that myself. Like he's too good to be staying at Brentford for another season, I think. On the centre backs, like Neil was saying, I got some different ones from Neil. Conte's looking at going back and raiding Serie A. 2 they've been linked with is Bastoni of Inter Milan, who's had a very good season. And the other one is Bremer of Torino, who just got a Team of the Season card in FIFA. So, they'll definitely be looking at him now.
It's a good card as well.
And I can't believe Neil's trying to shoehorn another striker in when Troy Parrott just scored against Scotland the other night. He's ready for the big time. That's it. This is his time to shine. And then the last one I've got, Steve mentioned the right back and Spence. I've got a slightly different one that they could look at for the right back, which would be Mukiel from Red Bull Leipzig. His contract's expired and he's looking like he's going to move on, so he might be a good fit for Spurs.
So we've got the same club, just different players.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting when it comes to the striking situation for Tottenham, because as you guys have mentioned, you want someone to come and hit the ground running, but you're pretty much telling that striker that you're only going to hit the ground and run when Kane is not playing. Because I don't see Conte or I don't see Conte actually benching Kane, even if he plays, even if he goes 5 or 6 games without scoring or playing well. So it's a tricky situation. Do you get in a young striker that is happy to just be on the bench and learn and improve and, one day I'll take over? Or do you get somebody that's about 26, 27, about to hit their peak? They're still going to be on the bench.
I'd say the young strikers. When we were talking about Man City the other week and them getting Haaland in, I think we all forgot that they had already signed Alvarez and that he was out on loan. I think that's exactly the type of player that Spurs would need as well. Like, it's established, like not in a major top league and young to come in and fulfill that role. Because I don't think your Spurs will get like a big name striker to play second fiddle to Kane.
Which is why I was looking at someone younger, but I don't agree. I think Conte will drop anyone. He's a winner. He's got that mentality. You aren't performing, you aren't scoring, you've got one job. He's going to drop you. If he's doing other bits for the team and Son's getting these amount of assists, then you don't upset the apple cart because there's no need, right? The whole front three are a unit, and those two maybe are a really, really good pair. But I firmly believe after his disaster after the Burnley loss that he would drop anybody if it meant winning. He is an absolute winner and somebody that I'd like to take to Wednesday once he's finished doing wonders at Spurs.
I thought he was going to say take to dinner,
ladies and gentlemen, this is
I'll do that as well if he wants.
this is the point that we don't really know what Neil has put in his tea, but don't drink the tea is what I'm trying to say. So moving on to another club the boys in the studio love, the 3 potential players that Manchester United should sign. And I will start with Big Dunk.
Okay, so I'll go with my options theme that I normally do. So again, they're being quite strongly linked with De Jong at the minute. So I think he would be a very good signing for them. Bit more defensively minded than Bruno. Could slot into that midfield and obviously a top quality rated player. If they don't get him, Sangare from the Eredivisie, the Dutch league, as like an out-and-out defensive midfielder to shore things up for them. So I would say those would be the 2 midfield options. For centre-back, again, like it's going to be the same as this for like Wolves and their Portuguese link. We've got Ten Hag, so there's the Dutch link. So the two centre backs that they've been linked with and would be a good fit for them. One is Botman. He's only 22, been performing very well in the French league, and the other one is Timber of Ajax. So again, another young, exciting defender that they could slot in with someone like Varane and hopefully improve the team. And then the final one for a striker, like I saw earlier, they were being linked with Lewandowski, and like that they do not want to go there when they've got Ronaldo, and we said about all their problems with signing star players like that. And I think they should go for Núñez as well, like the Liverpool going in, someone like that, young, exciting, been performing really well in one of a top European league. So yeah,
I mean, he has declared that he wants to play for Liverpool, but anything can happen.
But they could always declare that they pay him more than Liverpool. They like to. They've got shit tons of money now. Pogba's off the books, haven't they, and a few others. So,
well, we shall see. Thank you very much, sir. Big D, no, not Big D, Big Steve. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll go with. They need a lot of surgery, really, but my three players would be Calvin Phillips in the middle of the park to shore it up alongside De Jong because they just need to replace the middle completely and start afresh. So get two players in there, don't bring one in. And the third will be a centre-back. Again, that'll be Ake, someone that's proven. He's a good centre-back. I can see him pairing well with Varane. He can learn off Varane. He's quick, good in the air. I was tempted to throw a striker in there instead, but I think if Ronaldo's staying, you've got as good as what you can go out and buy. So they should be looking at getting if anything, they should get a younger player in to replace him at the end of the next season, or slowly replace him at the end of this season, but not spend big money on a striker while he's there.
Mr. Hinder, what do you have on your pen and paper?
Pen and paper. I think I actually went pencil. I'm proper old school. I've got about 55 sheets. So if you can hear that, that's just me going through the copious amounts of players from League Two and Conference that could improve that existing United team currently. So it first of all, I've put my name forward because I believe I could do a better job than most of those players this season.
What position have you put your name forward for?
Any. It doesn't make a difference. So I've got more passion in my left toe than most of those players, which is a disgrace to the United badge. I've got Ruben Neves from Wolves. He's been linked with quite a lot of clubs. Now, he's a player who's been around forever. He's only 25, but he feels like he's about 40. Because he's been around for a long period of time. He's Portuguese, decent. I think he could improve that team. They've all looking at De Jong. I don't see Fernandes leaving, so I believe he'll probably get on quite well and be an easy transition and fit to that shambles. I also thought maybe Jimenez to go up top, but he's 31. So, I mean, Lewandowski's been linked, and he's a no-brainer to sign. But for any club apart from United, because you've got Ronaldo. So who do you play? Do you tell them they're going to play 20 games each? And then that's it at the beginning of the season, right? You're going to get 20, you're going to get 20, and that's how it's going to work. Or is Ten Hag going to go old school and go 4-4-2? And you're going to have the oldest strike force in the history of the Premier League, but you're going to score 1,000 goals because everyone is going to be scared when it either gets the ball, which could work. Every cross is a goal if they're both in the team, like without a doubt. But I think Steve was right. There's a lot of surgery needed at United, and you could pretty much throw your hat on any league and just pick a player that would improve it. Hernandez from Serie A, the left back, evidently the fastest left back in the world, which would be a good change of pace from Shaw, to have somebody that's fit there. So he would be decent. And Inter Milan centre-back, Skriniar. I know it's got a funny thing above the S, so I've probably butchered his name. So if you are listening, Skriniar. The S is still an S then. That's the interesting point I was thinking. Decent centre-back. We all agree that they need another one. I'm not sure Varane is the future of United. I would probably look at partnering with maybe, I hate to say Maguire, but
don't do it to yourself. Don't do it yourself.
But Varane didn't have a good season. Only on the basis of Maguire being so poor did Varane look okay. And I think a better quality centre back that can help out Maguire would be really, really ideal from that point of view. Good players don't get that poor overnight. I mean, apart from Maguire, but Smalling's out on loan, isn't he?
Nope, done.
Is he sold?
Yep.
That's a shame, isn't it? What a player he's been at in Italy. Maybe Maguire will go out to Italy and be like the best centre back they've ever had. Who knows?
Who knows?
Or striker.
The future will tell.
I can't wait though. I'm really excited for United this transfer window. Genuinely excited for them. Duncan's picked out all the players that they've been linked with, which look amazing. The A to Z of Dutch young footballers pretty much have been linked. So, man, that's some eggplants.
Just save what is with you on eggplants and save that excitement for Wednesday. It's all right. You need it. You need it. Okay.
Oh man, we don't even talk about the League One on here.
Yeah,
we'll have a special show next week.
We'll slot that in just for you. Big Steve, let's take you to Wolves. And 3 players you think. So Bruno Lag did good things with the team this season. He kind of changed the idea of Espirito Santo in terms of them having just one approach and just waiting for you to lose the ball and for them to counter. They look like a solid team. Who do you think you should add to make them improve?
I think Wolves is next. Wolves' big obstacle is attacking. They're very good defensively, didn't concede a lot of goals, but going forward, they struggle to score.
That's true.
So
Considering the fact that they didn't score, yep.
They need creativity and strikers. So if they could get Eriksen from Brentford, from an attacking point of view,
this guy is going to shred himself into like 500 places.
The thing is, it's because how good he is, and he's on a free. I do think he will end up with Tottenham though, because of the Tottenham.
Does anybody actually think he would sit back and just go, "This guy's gave me a chance when nobody else wanted to. I'm going to at least stay one season in Brentford."
I think maybe
the Brentford chairman.
if Tottenham wasn't involved with Conte, because he played under Conte at Inter Milan, and he's going back to Tottenham, so his place is and a manager that he knows, so that's where I can see him ending up.
Let's not forget when he left Spurs, he did say it wasn't a nice leaving of Spurs, though, was it?
And it wasn't a happy sentiment in Inter Milan either. He really started being played towards the end by Conte. Yeah, Conte didn't start playing him initially, so
yeah.
Oh well, go on, sir. Sorry,
but anyway, so yeah, if they could get Richarlison from Everton,
yeah, he has said he wants to leave.
Will be a good signing for them to replace Jimenez, or slowly replace Jimenez, because Jimenez to me doesn't get enough goals for them. And then Emmanuel Dennis from Watford.
Oh, good down, old Ima Dennis.
Offering some Premiership football.
All right, I go to Big D. Big D, you love your Wolves team.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. I mean, you love a lot of teams. You're always giving us stats about Wolves and all that. So.
I've mentioned some Wolves players over the course of the season performing well. So they've been linked. I'm going to have to read these out now. So they've been linked with a load of Portuguese players. I'm familiar with most of these.
Surprise!
From FIFA. At the back, you've got Carmo from Braga in the Portuguese league. Apparently, he's 6'5", bit of a beast, monster. So he might be a good one to go for. And Inacio. What did he get? He got like a special league card in FIFA earlier on in the year, 84 rated.
Here we go with this FIFA card.
We've seen him before. So he's one to keep an eye on. Wait, I haven't started yet. So then in the midfield, so Moutinho is looking like he might be coming to the end. Neves might be on his way, so they might need to get some reinforcements in there. So they've been linked with Paulinho, who's a CDM from Sporting. So he looks like good as like a solid CDM if Neves and Moutinho both go out. Then there's also Nunes, also from Sporting, who had a Future Stars objective in FIFA. So we're all familiar with him, aren't we? I think he got up to the top card, and that was an 88. So he must be fairly handy in real life. And then when you go to the front, they had Trincao out on loan last year. So there's a chance. Trincao. So there's a chance that they can make that signing permanent. So obviously there's probably a bit of competition for his signing, but I think if they could make that signing, that'd probably be a good one for them.
Okay, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Dunk has just given us the FIFA transfers of the year and linked them to real life. So it's all nice. And Mr. Hinder, who do you think should join the Wolves side?
I like the way you laugh. Every boy and man, apart from you, plays FIFA or played it at one point, or Football Manager, and learns all of their geography, all of their foreign playersness from those games, and who could be a young player. So, and actually, they use the FM database now, don't they, for actual scouting in real life. So games have come a long way.
I'll just point
JJ.
out, I did a pub quiz the other night, and because I think it's mostly FIFA, but a bit of Football Manager as well, there was a flags round, and I just nailed it in about
Yes.
10 seconds flat. Just done. There you go.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very
These
much.
are
I mean,
important
other than FIFA can teach me geography and everything else. Okay. Thanks. Anyway, yeah, crack on.
The toxic community is irrelevant. So Wolves, they're in a tricky situation. They've got no money coming in. Chairman's not boosting the club, so they're on a little bit of a jolly selling players. Neves is going to have to go in order to fund some transfers in. And I think maybe they should look at Cornet from Burnley. Could be a good signing for him. I also had Consolo Ignacio from Sporting at centre-back as a signing they should look at. I completely agree, like strikers, and didn't think I'd say it about Wolves that they need strikers, but I believe that they have to have a balance of a couple. When Jimenez has been out and maybe hasn't been his former self since his poor accident that he had, they can look for the free market. Liverpool have let two decent strikers go, Ben Woodburn and Origi. I don't know where he's been rumoured to end up
AC
at,
Milan.
but has he signed though?
Don't think so.
I'd rather live in the Midlands than
the
Milan, right? Who wants to go and live in a lovely capital? Well, you can live in the Midlands and wear that beautiful shirt. So yeah, that's it. Wolves have got some work to do. I think they've had a good season. The change has done them well. I don't want to see them just end up with a load of Portuguese players like they did before. Though I'd like to see
Too late.
a split across the board. No, they'll have loads.
Like a quick anecdote there where you're talking about strikers. Like, don't forget they have got Fabio Silva. Like, I don't know, he must still be like 20. They paid
He's
a good
19.
amount of money.
Oh,
Yeah, they paid a good amount of money for him. But there was a video by HTC Sevens on YouTube the other night about strikers who went through a whole season without scoring a goal, and Mr. Fabio Silva was number one on that. So he's not been doing the business.
Imagine that. Well, hopefully, let's see if he eats some good food and develops his scoring and gets some muscle to maintain in the Premier League.
Is Neto still there?
Yes, injured.
Pedro Neto. Is he?
Yes,
Man,
sir.
he was a decent player.
Got injured. He came back towards the end of the season and
He came
played
back
a
last
game or
few
two.
games of the season.
Yeah.
It was a
Didn't
bad
hear much.
injury. Good thing that he recovered. Shout out to Neto, man. If you're listening, come on and teach us some,
He's like a
things.
fresh signing for him anyway.
Yes, I'm sure he is. Okay, and now we welcome Nottingham Forest to the Premier League, ladies and gentlemen. And it's been a long time coming, but they finally made it. Beat Huddersfield in the final. Now the question is, obviously, I'm assuming number one thing would be to at least maintain the Premier League stats. And who do you think they should get? And just for all of you that were talking about James Milner leaving Liverpool, he has signed a new contract and takes him to 2023. So nobody's having him until at least the end
That
of the
was
season.
since we suggested it. So maybe he heard our suggestions and was like, no.
Some people
How much
suggested
is he
should
now
be.
on though?
Some people suggested he should be Mane's butler.
That
What's
was me.
he signed
No, it was
for? That was
Saleh's.
you. It
Yeah,
was
Saleh
you,
and Mane's,
yeah.
but it was me. I said, they could just throw him in as part of the wage deal.
And maybe he is.
All right, so Nottingham Forest. Big Steve, let's start with you. Who should they get in?
They want Premiership experience. They don't want to make the mistake that teams like Norwich have made, try to keep the same side and play in the Premiership. What they need to do is get players that's been in and around the Premiership to keep them up. So we can go to our guy, Danny Ings.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean,
Is it
Villa have
Gabe
actually
Villa?
said that they're willing to let him go if anybody comes. So
Yep. And the money won't be much. Sissoko from Watford, who went down. If they can get him, he's a good leader. Got plenty of experience with Newcastle, Tottenham, Watford. Big, strong player in the centre midfield. And if they could get Maitland-Niles from Arsenal.
are you
'Cause
trying to
he's not.
offload your guy?
No, because I
Yes,
don't
you
see
are.
him. I don't see him coming back to Arsenal and getting a position to play. To be honest, so it would be good for him to go to another Premiership club and prove his point.
I mean,
There is a
surely.
chance that he could play in the centre midfield at Forest as well.
All right. Surely you said you need experienced players. Experience will come with the fact that you do play.
He's played over 100 games,
Oh, okay. Well,
so
good point. Good point.
He's played. He's been around a long time.
Come on, guys. Bring somebody throw in the stats and tell us how he has played like 2 minutes for like 25 games or something out of that 100. But we'll see. Premier League experience is what Nottingham Forest needs. Mr. Hinder, who are you taking to Nottingham Forest?
I agree with Steve. They do need some experienced Premier League players. And I just want to take you back down a little bit of history here. When Nottingham Forest were last in the Premier League, I had a mini disc player. I worked as a property risk insurance analyst. Well, calculate, I don't know. That's how bad it long ago that it was that I was actually working and doing a job in insurance. And that's when Forest were last in the Prem. My hair wasn't grey. The sad thing is Wednesday weren't in the Premier League either. So some things don't change, but other things do. And fair play to Forest for trying to get up. 100%.
What was your favorite CD and your disc player to listen to at the time?
At the time, and I was probably listening to a lot of metal back then. A little bit of Limp Bizkit, some Korn. JJ's like, I've got no idea what you're on about, but that's the type of stuff I'd be listening to. A bit of Slipknot, if you want to go really heavy, Deftones.
I like the idea that you think I live in a box and not know what Linkin
It
Park.
looks dark.
Yeah,
Linkin Park. I didn't say Linkin Park. I
Limp
said Limp
Bizkit.
Bizkit.
Sorry, Limp Bizkit. I don't know where you think I live. I've been living for the past how many years. But anyways, three players, Nottingham Forest.
100% agree with Steve. Maitland-Niles has to go to Forest. That is a great signing for them. And a great signing for Arsenal to get rid of him. Fredericks from West Ham, been let on a go. I don't know how much money Forest have got and what they'll be looking to do, but I don't think they want to spend millions and millions and millions, like 100 million and hope for the best and just throw. Some good astute pros that have been in and about. And Roman Sace from Wolves as well is the other one. He's 32. He's not quite past it. And it's just about building that squad. And another player that I've thought about for Forest, Jack Wilshere. All right. I only know he only signed a short-term agreement in Denmark, but he's got Premier League experience. He is an absolute top-quality footballer. I don't know why no one's taken a punt on him before or what his contract is.
But he didn't even cut it in the Championship with Bournemouth.
Yeah, but pay as you play, I think that would be a good signing for them, for the Prem.
Yeah,
got to be good to have around the youngsters, right?
Pay as you play contract. I don't see, because then if he's injured, he's injured. But
yeah,
when he's about, he's valuable.
Oh, very valuable if he can be.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have actually gone through all 20 of the Premier League teams for next season.
Yeah, so my picks for Nottingham Forest, JJ.
Oh, sorry, Doug, you allowed to pick any players for Forest?
Oh, yeah. I'm allowed now, am I? Just checking. I'm allowed to pick players for every team. Okay, cool. Right. So
I forgot you were there, man. I forgot you were there.
How could you forget I was here, JJ? So Forest, all that experience, we'll forget that. We want to get some young, exciting players in at Forest. Get some good, exciting football going.
Sorry, before I know you guys are talking about experience. Just before you say your players, did Sheffield United stay up without actually getting loads of experience the first season they came up?
Yeah. They did well the first season.
All right. Just checking. Crack on, sorry.
Yeah, the first season.
Yeah.
The first season.
Not the second one where they got relegated. Anyway, so not experienced, although they are back. They need a striker, so they could just give Stan Collymore a quick ring, see if he wants a couple of games. But anyway, on a serious point, in the midfield for them, two possible signings. So the lads have already said Maitland-Niles is there. He's available. He'll be a good signing for them. And the other one, I didn't actually realise, and we were talking about him last week, Gibbs White is on Wolves' books, and he was only on loan to Sheffield United. My bad, did not know that, but it seems to be like that he might be available. And again, a good
FIFA
young
didn't
English
tell
player.
you that?
No, he just tells me he plays for Sheffield United.
Okay.
Yeah, he had loads of
See,
special
Football
cards.
Manager would have told
He had
you he
loads
was
of
on loan.
special cards, though. So you got those two options in the midfield. Fullbacks, one of the best signings they could probably make is getting Spence on a permanent deal. And a couple of things that they would have in their favour against someone like Spurs is that he's played there for a season. He's probably, he's obviously had a good experience there, getting promoted, and he can be absolutely guaranteed first team football. So, like, if they can get that deal done, that would be a huge one for them. They're also being linked with Nico Williams on the other side, the left back from Liverpool, saying he might be available for something around 15 million. So again, and that would be another good signing. And then for goalkeepers, apparently Bryce Samba's rejecting new contracts. So you've got the possibility of maybe Leno, if he wants to stay around in the Premier League. He might go there. And then we've spoken about some of the other goalies that are available, like Pope. Who did you say for Strakashir last week, Neil? Because apparently Fulham are being linked with him this week.
Oh man, I can't remember.
He's like, what? Who?
What?
I just wrote that name down. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh mate, I've got on my phone. My phone's dead. Otherwise, I would have got it all out. I'll go back and we'll edit the show and make it look really posh and remember
Make
who
it
it was.
so nice.
Yeah, so those would be my three suggestions: the midfielder, the fullbacks, and the goalie.
Okay. Isn't speaking about Fulham, Leno is Fulham might be interested in Leno at the moment, right? Trying to get him to not move house and just go across or something with Ramsdale.
They talk about Leno, and there's also talk about Ben Foster going to Arsenal.
Ooh.
To be the backup goalkeeper.
Yeah, whenever clubs do that, it's always for the
After
homegrown
Ramsdale.
quota, isn't it? That's why Fraser Forster's gone to Spurs.
Well, let me look around to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. Everybody here? Okay, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We have actually gone through all the 20 teams for next season and the players we think should join them and make them even stronger. Here at Grassroot Chats, we will be back on the 3rd of July, bringing you all the quality shows, Play to the Whistle, Kickabout, and of course the technical area with special guests. Till then, we'll continue to flood you with good content on our page, on Instagram, and all the content can be found on www.grassrootchats.com. Men, boys, it has been a good season. Thank you very much for all that you have done. Everybody, maybe apart from Neil, but thank you for all the things that you have all done and for all the things you've said and for enlightening all the crowd. Now you can have a sweet break till we're back at the start of the transfer window.
And I might be gone on that transfer window after that comment.
Where are you going to?
Penzi comes in for the big
He's in
contract.
negotiations.
All right, but thank you, boys. On a serious note, it's been really good season. Now we can relax and come back strong for next season and see if Nathan Niles and everybody else will be back to listen to us. Till then, ladies and gentlemen, it is goodbye from Big Steve.
Bye.
Goodbye from the FIFA maestro, Big Dunk.
See you later, guys. And don't worry, Neil, despite what the host barbed words, you've been amazing.
And of course, goodbye from Mr. Hinder.
More things.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye.